This is Margaret and Windsor, and the name I have to use is Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married at Childers. I found out about my kidnapping in 1983 after I had run in a political campaign to replace one of the doctors I wrote about in a medical malpractice book, unpublished, because they almost killed me more than once, but April Fool Day of '80. I found out that my father's King Edward VIII, and that my father, and I found this out from the British and Germans. I found out that my father was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, sister to artist Georgia O'Keefe, from Sun Prairie or Madison, Wisconsin. And of course, Georgia had Ghost Ranch out near Santa Fe, New Mexico. An artist. All her money was tied up illegally. So it's been a horror story of what was done to my mom and the O'Keefe family. And then done by part of my family, George, the illegal George VI, and of course Elizabeth's illegal. And the point they say would be that they would have a Jew monarchy, British monarchy. Well, they're illegal. They took down my father, who never married Wallis Simpson. My grandfather, George V, died. I would have to look back. It had to be the last month in 1935. My father became king January of 1936, and he was forced to abdicate in December of 1936. Now then, my father never married Wallis Simpson. He was wed to my mother, and that's the only time he was married. And as far as I know, I'm the only heir, and I am the only legitimate heir. My grandmother married to George V, my grandfather. I wonder how he died now, knowing the things I know at this moment in time. She didn't want my father to marry my mom. She was considered I don't know what's going on there. She was considered a commoner. But that's not it. This whole thing was put together by the Illuminati, the Jews, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Roosevelt, Franklin Delano. He was a Jew. He appointed, the Irish Mafia, the Kennedy clan, Joe Kennedy, ambassador, 1936 till he was kicked out in 46. I was born in 1939 and kidnapped in 41. There was an addendum to my father's forced abdication, and it was legal. It went through channels and was totally legal. He intended to come back when he could get the mess sorted out. Okay, the addendum stated that should my father have an heir, it would not disinherit the heir, that the heir would inherit. I was born in 39. The day I was born, it would have brought my father back, because the moment I was born, I'm Victoria II, Queen Victoria II. My father would have become a power of attorney, should have, and guardian. So they had to kidnap me then. Brought me to Moulton, Alabama, and gave me the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married at Childers. Both twins were killed by their mother. They were born out of wedlock, illegitimate. Now I want to get to this. A double married Wallis Simpson, an imposter, in 1937. And actually, that's an illegal title. My father was still alive, married to my mom. I want to insert this here. 1986, when I came to Roanoke, October the 20th, by the best source possible, and it's true. And, oh, yes, it is. My father's still alive at that time. My mother was still alive at that time, and I know both of them were alive for sure. Now, the imposter was buried at Frogmore, Windsor Castle. So was Wallis later on, Simpson. They're imposters, they're spies, American spies. Now, I don't know who he was. He may have been the imposter somehow related to the Windsors. I have no way of knowing. It was not my father. My father was married to my mom, and I was born, like I said, in 1939. Now then, the imposter, died in 1972 and was buried at Frogmore, Windsor. Okay, the point of this one, I put so many videos up. I have been tortured in ways in laws broken, that ways you can't imagine. It would be a list on a daily basis. Me and my children, Mark and Scott, are heirs after me. Legal. Part of it's the illegal treaties that were signed after they took down my father and kidnapped me, and then the United States had inserted its own monarch, which is George VI, Elizabeth's father, who's illegal. They signed treaties that allowed the United States to put its war machines, bases all over the UK, everything British, and in essence, they owned everything British then. They had control of it. They had control of the real monarch, illegal treaties. And now then in Australia, which I love very much, the Aussies. Well, they're Brits. There's an Area 51. Y'all remember there wasn't an Area 51 here. That was a lie until they proved it here. And now then, all you have to do is Google and find out some of the stuff. They've got one of the biggest Air Force bases, the United States, underground in England. Okay? Now then, I'm over here and I've been through hell. DNA would prove it, but it really doesn't come down to that. The Brits told me, look at what's been done to Great Britain. This close relationship they have with the United States is the fact that they kidnapped me, the monarch. So they took over Great Britain, holding them hostage just like they do me. And I don't know where my children are. I pray every day this will be over and told by the media that's controlled by the very people that kidnapped me. The Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and Bilderbergers, and Kennedys, and Roosevelts. Okay, now I want to, and members of my own family, which are high up in the Freemasons, the Illuminatis. Now, I want to get to something of late, and I have to watch my timing to make sure I have time to put it up. I've been kept almost penniless, made a pauper. I'm going to insert Larry Flynn of Hustler Magazine here. He flew me out there in a campaign in '83, October, and he lived on St. Cloud in Bel Air. He's moved to Beverly Hills, I understand. Now, I haven't spoken with him since. I'll take that back. I did one time back in about 1984. Yeah. One time later then. Anyway, the point I want to make is that he was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and I was back then doing a medical malpractice book, MD, A License to Kill. It was about Larry McDonald, congressman, doctor, but it had a whole slew of cases and really important things in it. Part of it was about programming and mind control. And the person that shot Mr. Flint in Lawrenceville, Georgia, about 60 miles from me in Marietta, was programmed, and he killed Mr. Flint's attorney. And what I want to get to here is I can't put down the pain and suffering and the things done to me and my sons because of our name, who we are, and because we were kidnapped, and the crimes that are so atrocious. If they were told, the image of the United States would be, you got it, a total polar opposite from them saying, God bless America and how great they are. When they can beat up a monarch, and my mom and dad, my mom was an American, for God's sake. Do you think they would do this with Grace Kelly? Princess Grace. You don't even hear about my mother. It's a total lie about Wallis Simpson. Okay, a DNA doesn't have to be, because the Brits told me they know who I am. Now I want to mention this. I've been kept penniless. I ongoing have had crimes committed against me that I've tried to put up on YouTube and Facebook. And I have, and then I had it stolen and things happened. I just got my phone back now, and so one of my Facebooks, the main one, I can't get to, but let me tell you this. I've had to do my own videos and live on nothing, and there's a lot more going on to what's being used to torture me, okay? Besides not knowing if my children are alive or dead. Someone told me, well, there's another woman claiming to be the illegitimate daughter of Edward VIII. That's my dad. So I started watching, and I did friend her once, or attempt to, and then I undid it because I listened, I believe the way it went, I listened to one of her tapes, videos, and believe me, she went to college, George Mason out in California. I thought it was up in D.C. near McLean, because I still think she may be a CIA plant. But I look at this can be done. I've seen it, believe you me. I've seen things that the government's done. She does look like me. That doesn't mean she's the daughter of my father. And it just gets me. She can use the Elizabeth Emily Windsor Cragg. I'm not allowed to use my own name. She's claiming to be the illegitimate daughter of Edward VIII. And here I grew up, kidnapped and given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, and she was dead, and Carl, the twin, their mother killed them, and they were born out of wedlock. And here I assumed that name and grew up at age 2 on up, being told I'm Peggy Dempsey. I was called bastard. The way I grew up, that woman was a psychopath, that family, and the brutality is unreal. And then the things that I don't say that have been done to my children, Mark and Scott, heirs after me. Now, Emily Cragg, and I'm not going to say Windsor, she gets away with it. She's got all these videos up, and she's very... she researched a lot to come up with some of it. Some of it's the same thing because I was taking your NASA, that's when NASA began in Huntsville, Alabama, and I worked for the District Attorney Simpson. How quaint. Wallis Warfield Simpson. Okay, and I lived at Warren House then when I worked for him, as in the Warren Commission. The Kennedys cover-up of JFK, he was one that flew in to England, to the embassy. His dad was appointed ambassador. And you're going to tell me he wasn't probably the one that flew me out of there and dropped me off at Cortland Air Base near Moulton. Now then, Emily Cragg reports, and she talks about my father like it's her father. Now then, I've listened to, since all this came down, she had another Facebook friend, when I blocked her, call me up and tell me what a horrible person I was. This was my half-sister, that I should join forces with her, and she had her on the other line. And anyway, she gave me her phone number, and I did end up giving my phone number. She wanted to call and talk to me. Well, I was shocked at this woman's attitude, but anyway, the deal is that this woman has been able to pretend she's a Windsor and the daughter of my father when she's not, I don't believe. She may be the daughter of the Imposter, and I'm going to have to quit here, who is... I don't know who he is that married Wallis Simpson. He may be a member of the Windsor family. I don't know. But Emily did contact me and want a DNA. My goodness, the Brits told me who I am. She's the one that's, she says she's illegitimate. She is. Now, whether she also wanted